few options for people who want to travel by air. They either go by road, jettison the trip altogether and maybe do virtual, or try to add money to it, sometimes times 2, times 3, just so they can catch that flight and do business or personal things. And this, it didn't used to be like this really. Fast or rewind to some months, years back, you're talking about airfares, 50,000 naira, but now times 2, times 3. So what exactly is going on? Because this has a knock-on effect on business, productivity, and the economy at large. We have a roundtable on this one, so we're sort of flying first class this morning. Joining us in our Lagos studio is Mr. Chris Eligbe, who's an aviation analyst, and 2 gentlemen join us virtually. Mr. Tony Ukachukwu, who's the founder and CEO of Aviators Africa and convener Nigeria-South Africa Aviation Forum, as well as Mr. Lumide Owayo, who's the General Secretary, Aviation Safety Roundtable Initiative. Gentlemen, you're welcome to the morning brief.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Good to have you. As I always say, we'll fasten our seatbelt and jump on this flight, really. I hope it won't be a bumpy one, because we really need to understand what is going on. For a lot of people, they just see the fares increasing and increasing, and they wonder, how long will this keep happening? But we need to know the story behind the figures. And I'll begin with you, Mr. Eligbe. What exactly is going on with the aviation sector? What is going up comes down, but this one keeps going up.
Thank you very much. In fairness to the airline operators, they're facing quite a lot of challenges. The economy, access to foreign exchange, rising cost of fuel, rising cost of operation. Everything is there. And then, for quite some time, maybe from 2017, the issue of wet lease was a major problem.
Wet lease, you said?
Wet lease.
What is that, for those who don't understand?
Wet lease, we call it wet lease. In aviation, we call it ACMI, aircraft, crew, maintenance, and insurance. You pay for all of them. You don't use your own crew. You don't pay the insurance, everything they give to you, you pay the cost. And that is quite high. What is paid pilots outside there is by far higher than what is paid. That is the technical crew, and what you even pay for the aircraft and for every other thing. So you have no time to manage it. All that you want to do is manage operations. So that added the cost, and that is why it is heartwarming that the government, particularly the aviation minister, the vice president, and the finance minister, and the chief judge of the FCT, just about 2 weeks ago, signed not the CTC. People make a mistake to say Cape Town Convention. No, Cape Town Convention was signed and domesticated in 2007. It was Segun Demure, Dr. Demure, that made it. Was signed 2007, and by March 2007, that document was deposited in Udroit's room and then filed in international registry in Dublin in 2007 July. So Cape Town Convention became operational. Nigeria was even helping other countries, Sierra Leone, Libya, Guinea, Egypt, to be able to operate the Cape Town Convention, to understand what it is. But by 2007, two Nigerian airlines, First Nation and Top Brass, violated the Cape Town Convention. Immediately they violated the Cape Town Convention, Nigeria became blacklisted. And once we were blacklisted, airlines could no longer get aircraft on dry lease. That was when the wet lease challenge came in. So one is happy. It's a major effort and success that we were able to return Nigeria to what it was
So we're back to dry lease now.
We are back, yes, we can now begin dry lease.
So all this while, all of the airline operators, the crew and all of that, were not theirs in that sense?
No, they were not there once you do a wet lease, except except if you bought your aircraft. Like I know that some airlines, operators were able to buy their aircraft.
And that's quite expensive. How many of them are able to even do that?
I think I know that APs bought some. I know that when Eric was operating, Eric did that. I know that also that IBOM, some of his aircraft bought. He has some leased, but he has
so it's a mix.
Yes, it's a mix. I also think that Overland bought one or two of his aircraft. Overland is a small aircraft. It's not probably very much known, but it's a niche carrier.
It's still an operation and it's doing some work.
It's a niche carrier. But all others that came in, they were all on wet lease.
Let me go to Mr. Okachukwu, because you've provided a fantastic background to this, even the historical context. And I want to push this forward and find out from your own observation and experience. So is it a challenge with the model of business being done? I know that there are regulatory constraints, right, as he has talked about. But still, we've seen, models being introduced in other climes that have beaten down the price of airfares. Because at the end of the day, you want people to fly. You want money to come in so you can, keep your business sustainable. So is it a challenge with the model, with the regulatory context? Is it a challenge with the Nigerian economic context? How do we apportion the challenge to these factors?
I think it's a combination of all what you just mentioned. The operating environment is not very favorable. The regulatory policies sometimes in some situations are stifling. And then the general climate in Nigeria, doing business in Nigeria. So I think it's a combination of a whole lot. However, just like Mr. Ligwe has alluded, there are concerted effort by the present minister to begin to unlock these areas to make sure that there is a favorable condition operating environment for the airlines. And this Cape Town practice direction that was signed on September 12th, that have moved up from 45 to 70.5% by the Aviation Working Group, is a move in the right direction to now enable us to go back to being able to dry lease, because the wet lease is part of what is crippling airlines in Nigeria. And they do this at high premium because Nigeria, just like Mr. Ligwe has said, has been blacklisted, and we are seen like a nation with high risk. So anybody that wants to do business with Nigeria will make sure that they put it at a very high premium, to take their chances at taking the high risk. So it's high risk, high yield. So this practice direction has been signed on September 12 by the working group that moved us, by the Federal High Court. Is a move in the right direction, and I think it poses a very positive change and direction for the operating environment for the Nigerian aviation airline operators.
So let's take it now to Mr. Nwayo to, just sort of pick it up from there by also reacting to what some other aviation analysts are saying, that this CTC practice direction is one part of the conversation, but there's also need to build infrastructure. What are your thoughts on that? And can Nigerian airlines really, compete favorably with other airlines operating in the country, foreign airlines, without a review of bilateral air services agreement that will, sort of expand their capacity beyond the shores of the country, perhaps to other African countries?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Let me greet Captain Chris there, since we're on the flight, and he has captained his flight. Anyway, congratulations to Nigeria. We have joined other countries in taking the practice direction. Yes, we had issues in the past based on one or two airlines, and it showed that it's not a Nigerian problem alone. If it was a Nigerian problem, those other countries would not have asked the practice, signed the practice direction in place. So it has come now. It's now left for us to make effective use of it. Like Captain Chris said, I'm usually captain for this program. The beauty of it is now we're going to go back to the dry lease. Now with the dry lease, it gets the cost of leasing goes down. You have more employment for Nigerians, and if you have more employment, then you have more revenue for the industry. So that's the positive part of it. Then the other part, like asked Bukola, is Now, for the airlines, is it Huru? I heard one of the people saying it's a revolution. No, I don't think it's a revolution yet. But there's also a part, and that part is that of the corporate governance, the ability to operate effectively. Because leasing an aircraft does not make you rich, and also affects profitability. You need to manage it effectively over a time. It should not be a permanent basis. Either you are leasing it to own it, or you're leasing for a certain period. But you are planning for your own aircraft, not something you keep permanently with you and expect that your bottom line will not be hit. And that's another part that we need to work on within the industry to see that this when we start getting this dry leasing, we do not see it as the permanent solution, but as the one is always a temporary. I'm coming to the last part of your question. You talked about our ability to compete with the foreign airlines. I think we are not yet there. And we can only get there if we begin to build gradually. And I am in support of the process that IBOM is doing, building technical blocks one after the other to see how they can meet up. We must avoid that rush to get a mega carrier, but else we fall into the same problems that we had that have not done in the past. We must just begin to build gradually and see if our activities and operations, processes in place can attract this foreign airlines, one of them or foreign investors to participate in any of our carriers. Definitely, airlines cannot be alone without some form of investment, external investment. That is an area that I'm looking forward to. And it can only be done when we begin to put the necessary rules, laws, and practices in place, and we will get there.
So I'll take it to you now, Mr. Liga, in the studio. Captain, in the studio. I'd like you to speak also to the issue of bilateral air service agreement, particularly as it affects this ongoing conversation between Air Peace and the United Kingdom, with the minister writing to the United Kingdom that it should allow Air Peace to land in Heathrow Airport, or otherwise it will, invoke the laws. What are your thoughts on this?
Thank you. Sometimes, mostly I don't like to engage the ministers when they are doing what they do, because sometimes I like them to finish what they are doing, because for them, for all of us, is a learning process. He will learn, he will understand it. Even the airline. Heathrow is one of the most expensive airports to fly into. Heathrow, one of the most expensive airports. Slots, aviation bridges, all those things, so that even when you get that chance, you wonder whether you can fly into it. But I will tell you this, the truth of it is that you ask whether our airlines can compete with foreign airlines. No, none of airlines today can effectively compete with foreign airlines. And it will take a long time. There are 5 levels of operation in the airline industry. The topmost level is alliance level. There are 3 global alliances: SkyTeam, Star Alliance, and One World. All of them operate about over 2,000 flights, frequencies daily to various countries. And they have up to 20 countries, 25 countries. Star Alliance is the largest. It has about 26 members, and all those. They are all global alliances. That's a thing. In the aviation industry is one area where globalization has succeeded. The first one is communications, telecommunication. You can communicate to anybody from anywhere you are. Aviation industry is seamless travel. When you put your baggage here, until you get to the other end, even if you pass through 5 airports, that's seamless operation. That's at the level of global alliance. The second level, below it, you have what you have associate members of partners of alliance members. You are not alliance member, but an associate of alliance member. It's like when KLM bought into Kenya Airways. Kenya Airways become an associate of an alliance member because KLM is an alliance member. It's the second level, but it gives you access to wider network. Then you come down to the next thing, interlining and code share. This started in 1947. post-World War. IATA introduced this in 1947. That for a long time, but the airline operation started commercial 1933, point to point, like tuke. Carry here, drop here. If you want to travel beyond that, you go and buy a ticket and try to check yourself in. That's not what happens these days. All Nigerian airlines are operating in this archaic level, the tuke level, from point to point. And no airline will survive on point to point. No airline will survive on stand-alone airline. Nigeria Airways, even Nigeria Airways started on point to point because that time, and then by 1976, it started with alliances and interlining. But by 1986, it was chased out of the IATA clearinghouse because it defaulted in payment. It returned to point to point. Nigeria Airways started the part of the decline of Nigeria Airways. All our airlines have operated point to point. The present airline, biggest line, thank to God, is point to point. There's no airline that will survive. And our airline.
So with point to point, you can't land at an international airport, at Heathrow Airport.
You can land, but you're not making any money. It's those airlines that I can transfer my passenger to another airline just seamlessly. So you derive revenue from that relationship.
So if it can, don't you think that what's happening between Airpeace and the UK is an unfair competition practice, as Airpeace has been, projecting it to be?
What do you consider unfair?
Because Virgin Atlantic and other airlines, foreign airlines, can land at national airports in Nigeria and, in fact, in other destinations.
No,
so they're not accorded. Our own airlines are not accorded that privilege.
What I'm telling you is that you can ask for that, but so much has happened in the aviation industry for a long time, for quite some time. There are airports in the world that have become congested airports. They created slots. So if you want to buy, you buy slots. That's why I say it's a very expensive airport. When I wanted to fly Abuja, London, he had to buy slots. They were selling slots for him. A pair of slots at £6,000. Imagine if you buy a pair of slots, that is fly in and fly out. If you are operating six times to UK on Heathrow, and you buy a pair of slots, even it's no longer £6,000. This is years ago. It's about almost going to 10,000. So if you buy it and you're going to pay 6 times 10, that's 60,000. How much are you making? The airline industry is slim margin. So you're killing yourself. But it is good to fight for rights if you are going to use the right, good. But if you are not going to, let it remain as an unloaded rifle. You have that right. But I'm not seeing it as something that will be cheering and heartwarming. And it's not unfair practice because airports are not indicated in the BASA.
All right. Quite a lot of moving parts here. Now we've talked about the foreign travel, but there's also the domestic travel as well. And I think two things Nigerians want to know, maybe simple as we can simplify it, is when can we begin to buy tickets for maybe the 70,000 naira that it was last year August, and then basically how much can we even get to, if we can't get to the 79,000, how soon can we get that? But we need to go on a break now. We'll come to Mr. Okachukwu and Mr. Onwayo to speak to these issues in a moment. Just stay with us. Plus thousand to over 120,000 naira in space of 1 year, and it looks like the fares are going higher and higher daily. That's the reality in the aviation sector. And this morning we're trying to get behind all of that and see how we can pull down these fares while keeping the planes afloat and safe. Very important. We have with us Mr. Chris Saligwe, Mr. Tony Okachukwu, and Mr. Olumide Onwayo, all speaking to these issues from different angles, really. So let me come to you, Mr. Okachukwu. While not compromising on safety and all of that, we have to keep our planes in the air. Simple question. So when are we going to get back? Because you've commended the minister and the work he's been doing and how it will reduce the fares. So how soon can we begin to buy our tickets for 70,000. I'm not even asking for the 40,000 or what the 20,000 used to be years ago. 70,000, what it was last year. How soon do you think that can happen with all of the work being done by the minister? Or you think that that's not feasible anymore?
It's feasible, but I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon. We must face facts. The aviation industry is dollar denominated, and everything they do in our sector, the aviation sector, is around the dollar. And if we have FX issues, it directly impacts on the operators or the aviation industry. And then they come to another moving part again, which is the jet A fuel. I mean, it accounts for close to 60% of operating costs. And then you can see where we are with fuel and and the whole issue around NNPC. So basically, when you look at just these two factors that I've mentioned, it will give rise to high cost of ticket, because the operators must stay in business, and not only stay in business, they must make sure that their operation is safe and and they don't compromise in any shape or form. So it's a very tough situation for the airline operators. We put it out, just jokingly, that they're in the intensive care unit, because they need the full support of a favorable environment for them to be able to work favorably and be able to lower these prices. If that doesn't happen, there won't be any magic for the price of tickets to come down. So there are a lot of moving parts, but the average traveler will not understand. But I've just given you some key areas to make you understand that with FX, everything in the aviation industry is dollar denominated. So with FX going the way it's going to be difficult. The parts, the maintenance, everything they do is with Forex. So, and if Forex don't come down, it directly impacts on the operating costs. And again, airlines must pass their costs to the consumer, who now is the passenger, unfortunately. So to answer your question, it's not going to come down anytime soon, except we begin to look at these moving parts and begin to solve it one after the other. And then, of course, we must know that aviation is a socioeconomic catalyzer. I want to use this opportunity to state that unless we get the aviation sector right, our economy, the economy of Nigeria, will continue to be impacted, because the aviation sector is critical to economic development. Thank you very much.
So, Mr. Nwayo, if they don't see reduced fares, they wonder all of the activity, all of the movement, they will think it's just movement without progress, right? Because that's the bottom line for people, being able to afford this, to do business, to be productive and contribute to the economic growth of the country. So for you, do you share those sentiments as well? And what are the gains then that we can look at and say, okay, fine, if the airfares are not coming down, at least there are gains in other aspects. We can talk about the quality of the facilities at our airport and the rest. What are those gains that we can then look to if we say that the fares won't come down anytime soon?
Thank you. I just want to say something on the airpiece issue. Airpiece have been asking for the permission to operate into Heathrow for more than 2 years. And an airline that have operated for about 10 years should not, they cannot downplay their reasons or whatever plans they have and why they need Heathrow. And if they say it's Heathrow they wanted, it's Heathrow they should get. I feel I am in support of the minister's move. It has happened before. It happened to them in Dubai, whereby they were sent to Charger until when the minister came up, put his foot down, and the Dubai route that was not available suddenly became available. Yes, the bilateral agreement says Heathrow and any other airport in London. But if they say they want Heathrow, then they must find a way around it. Unfortunately, we don't have another international airport in Lagos, so we cannot push them out of MMA. Because the agreement says Lagos, Abuja, so that's on that. But I think the EP says that's what they want. They look at their cost component, and if they say if they insist on it, I think we should just let them be and have them let them see how they pan that through to it. Yes, we have some airlines have done that. I've done that in the past and have failed. But I don't want that failure hunger to be on us, because of those failed airlines, their cost in England is so high now that they are made to deposit money for services not even provided ahead, just because they want to safeguard their own assets and operations. But that said, the issue of the ticket fare. I wonder when we keep looking at only aviation. Aviation is not alone, it's not an island. We are part of the economy. So when you look at the ticket, begin to look at what is the fuel cost, what's the power cost, what are the other cost components, even within, not of the top of the dollar, which is the major cost component of the industry. They are all going up, and if they're all going up, definitely ticket it's inevitable for the fares not to go up. And if you're talking about looking at it coming down soon, I do not see that coming quickly. What I can see is you can only see that kind of fares when we allow. If we can allow a new set of registration of civil scheduled operators, we are looking at them the lower cadre, maybe the 20-30 seaters, who can operate to this airports that have been termed unviable. The airports that are not presently not having more than 1 or 2 services. When you have the smaller aircraft go there, then you can begin to look at that kind of fare. But at the present rate of exchange, and with the present liter per fuel, with the present cost of power, with the interest rate from the banks, then it will be a miracle. I want to go to Abuja for the last 2 months now. I'm preparing myself because of the cost of the ticket. I want to ensure that when I go, I'll be able to do a lot of things and come back. The days of just traveling and traveling and not making enough plans are over, and we cannot isolate aviation from the system. But then there are a lot of work that needs to be done. When we get to that section, I will say something about it. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Nwayo, the feeling is mutual. When we want to book our flights, we think twice about it. I will try to, book like a month ahead, such that it will not be so expensive. But let me quickly follow up on the exchange rate matter, and I'm bringing it to you now, Captain Alibe. At the airline, you're still laughing. At the association level, are the airline operators making a case to the minister, that they be giving concession on foreign exchange, such that the importation of aviation fuel, can be bought at, the convenience of the airline operators? And that apart, the promise of domestic production of aviation fuel by our local refinery now, Dangote refinery, is it any potential? Does it offer any prospects for the long-term reduction of, prices of ticket for Nigerians? Those two issues.
Thank you very much. I think the airline, the operators, the airline subsector, for me, they are not asking for the right favors that will help them over period in time. I have talked that the airline is at infant level. In fact, they are suffering from infantilism. And what do you know? Ask for an infant industry protection, kind of. We are at the buzzer level. We're operating, like I told you, at a level of 1933 to 1947. Between that, we are not there. So, going forward, they will ask. I don't see there will be any difficulty in saying CBN, make an allocation of about 200 million annually to the airline for maintenance, for spares, and for some of that, for those things. So that, because their problem is that sometimes they have the naira, but they can't access foreign exchange to maintain the aircraft. So most of the aircraft are on the ground. They are out there. So, and that has affected the ability to operate. Our integrity, that is schedule integrity, is below 62. 2 years ago, we saw the schedule integrity was about 62. Our in Ghana is at 92.
Just to be clear, schedule integrity is, you say you are taking off
at the time, and this thing, yes, you take off at the time you want to take off.
Not 5 hours after.
No, not 5 hours.
That's not schedule integrity. Yes. 6 times within 1 day.
Yes, generally. And the first, what has happened is that flights are cancelled, taken out from airports, and you are not told. The airlines don't tell you. They keep their the schedule they have, even when they don't have enough aircraft to do that. So you book, so we no longer fly there. Oh, we have sought our flight from there. That's the problem. So they have their own planning, their own operational modes. It's not the right one. But they tell you they have, like you say, problem of corporate governance. It is endemic in the industry. There's no corporate governance. And you see, this is why even foreign airlines cannot interline with our local airlines. Because before they interline, they will do a due diligence. Most of them, there's financial opacity. You don't have nothing transparent. There's no corporate governance. And then their processes are not what they should be. Otherwise, in our country, we are large enough. We've encouraged them, look, if I buy your ticket and you cancel that flight, transfer me to the next airline. For so many years we have talked about it. They don't want to do it. So if you don't do it at the domestic level, no foreign airlines will give you. If they give you a passenger to transfer to another place and you delay your flight, your cancel flight, there's something we call carrier liability. The other liability, the airline that brought you, it is better for me to sue an airline, foreign airline that brought you, because I get more money from him than leave you. So
these systemic issues do not make them eligible to make a case before the minister?
No, it doesn't. But they can. I think the issue of they need that foreign exchange. They need it, and it should not, no palliative should be given them, but that money, earn it, and you're able to do. Central bank can do that, and I like what just happened. We can see it took the vice president, it took the minister, it took the chief justice of the, a team to handle the CTC process. It took a team. That is what I think that should be done. A team, I mean the economic team, led by the vice president, they do come to the industry, not just the operators, whatever. There are stakeholders in the industry. Call all of us, say, look, what are the challenges? The airlines need assistance because that will help all of us. If they have more aircraft, now I think should reduce the distance. Now they can do dry lease. Right. They can get pilots, they manage better, they will manage better, but it will not, if you drop it so drastically, that is when they start. They haven't started. Right. Again, they talk about infrastructure. I am happy with what is happening in the airport subsector. I think the new management of FAN has done something, has changed the management style. He has empowered airport managers to begin to work. They're not to wait to write to headquarters. We want approval for this. You get the now empowerment. And Port Harcourt Airport, that was ruled as one of the worst for some time. It's
now getting better.
Yeah, they just got an award in South Africa by a reputable industry.
That's interesting. But we always have our eyes on these facilities, the bathrooms, for example. And I don't even want to go there right now. The smell, the air conditioning, the comfort. It's like the airport is telling you, don't stay here. You just pass through. You can't really sit and relax. And you've been to other climes. You want to stay back at the airport until you want to catch a flight. Yeah. So let me get the final words from Mr. Okechukwu and Mr. Nwayo. Just on particularly the facilities. We can't talk about the aviation sector. We'll talk safety, we'll talk the fares, but we'll also talk about the facilities. And that is like that is a selling point of a country. Once you get into the airport, you can tell what the culture is about that, what the ethos is. So let's wind down on that point. We have just about a minute to wind down, gentlemen. So Mr. Okechukwu and Mr. Nwayo. Mr. Okechukwu first.
Thank you very much. So basically, there's a whole lot of work that needs to be done. Airport is a window to the country. So when you arrive at airports, you can get a sense of how the country is like. Thank God there's a new administration of FAN, and they're looking at, they've done some things with the E-Wing at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, E-Wing, and I'm sure they have other plans to, replicate that in other airports. But facility, just like you mentioned, there are basics for an airline traveler. A seamless facilitation and the ambience of the airport is the least that any passenger passing through such airport can ask for. And I think there's a whole lot of work that needs to be done for us to get to that level where when people arrive in Nigeria or they are living in Nigeria, they get a sense of Nigeria is a working country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nwayo. Your last thought on this.
Okay, yeah. When there are no passengers, there are no airlines, and when there are no airlines, there are no airports or agencies, and when there are no airports or agencies, there is no aviation, and when there's no aviation, there's no revenue or there's no or economy. So we need to work on this. There's something fundamentally wrong. That you have the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, the regulator, among the highest revenue generator for the government. You have the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria among the first 10, these two agencies, and the organizations that they are supposed to be providing services are all running into problems and barely managing to breathe. So there's a system in place that needs to be tweaked. We must be like the Indians. If the Indians could move the domestic travel from about 40 million to 300 million in 12 years, right, could move in the international travel from 30 million to 70 million. Then we must work towards that, because the more the passengers that are flying, the higher the revenue, the bigger the employment, and the better for the economy.
And that's a great place. Mr. Owayo, that's a fantastic place to anchor, and I think that just resonates a lot. We have to thank you so much. Wish you had more time, but as with every flight, you have to, land a taxi and then go about your business. Mr. Olumide Owayo, General Secretary, Aviation Safety Roundtable Initiative, thank you so much. Mr. Tony Okachukwu, Founder, CEO, Aviators Africa, as well as Aviation Analyst, Mr. Chris Aligbe. We appreciate you, gentlemen, for your time on the program.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. We have landed safely, but not to worry. Another flight is taking off in just about a few minutes. Sunrise Daily is next. Stay with Channels Television. I'm Kayode Okikulu.
Well, it takes a lot to get the airplane to fly with pride. We hope a lot more is done to ensure that in the future. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow. I am Bukola Koka.